Welcome to the Awakened Woman podcast. I'm so excited for today's episode. And so today I'm with Jennifer Love, who loves teaching embodiment and spiritual practices for growth, healing, and transformation. As soon as I heard and read your bio, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. Jennifer uses her intuitive gifts to channel the sacred divine guidance with her clients. Jennifer has been mentored by world-renowned angel expert, and she's also a licensed S Factor, which is S Factor is a feminine embodiment practice and movement practice that is designed to open the female body into her fullest, freest erotic expression. Ooh, I'm already feeling empowered and inspired by this
Yeah.
topic. Jennifer, welcome. So excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Thank you so much. So yeah, the way Jennifer and I connected, it was divine alignment, as I said. And as soon as I connected with you, I felt a beautiful energy that I did mention. And this topic, Jennifer, is so important for any woman who would like to come more into connection with her feminine radiance or
Yes.
with her core energies. So
Yeah.
let's start with the basics. What is embodiment?
Embodiment is literally your soul being in your body. So we're always talking about all of these, kind of woo-woo practices, right? Like connecting with our intuition. And that's super important. Women are naturally highly very intuitive. So, we love to connect with our higher self and the divine. And that's super important. And we're great at it. But if we spend a lot of time up here, out here, we also need to get back grounded in our bodies because I feel like the reason that we're here, you know, on earth at this time is to have this human experience in our bodies. So when we cross over whatever that next phase is, whatever your belief system is, you want to be really, really glad that you had every single experience that you were supposed to have in this body, right? Whatever that is, whatever that means to you. So, yeah, you want to feel everything, right? Good, bad, and different.
Yeah.
So, spiritually inhabiting your body really, really fully, that's embodiment.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for that explanation because it's also like so practical and easy to understand, right? Like when we go into that, as you said, the woo-woo, uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes it can get a little bit complicated to understand. So, how can we get more embodied? How can we start that journey of feminine embodiment?
Right. So, really being consciously aware of your body and being in your body. So, really simple things like eating when you're hungry,
Yes.
not ignoring your body's cues. Like, so many people tend to ignore the pressure of their bladder when they really need to go to the bathroom. And so often, I don't know about in your country, but in the United States, we tend to not allow our children to go use the restroom when they're at school. They're
Yeah.
like literally told no when they actually like raise their hand, I need to go use the restroom. They're told, no, you wait until recess. So we're actually tuning them to ignore their body's cues or suppress their body's cues and learn to
Yes.
hold it. You know, it's very unnatural. It's very disembodied to make your body do that.
Yeah.
And some people pride themselves actually on, wow, I could go the whole day without having to go, relieve myself. That's horrible. That's
Yes.
horrible to not, get a drink of water all day or relieve yourself all day. You're punishing your body by ignoring your body's cues. So I would rather you stop those practices and try to tune in more to like, when am I thirsty? When am I tired? when am I actually hungry? Don't just eat because it's lunchtime.
Yeah.
Eat because you're actually hungry.
Yeah.
Listen to your body's cues and feel your feelings.
Ah, yeah, that one is like so, so powerful and important. As we know, we cannot really connect with not only our emotions, but to the essence of who we truly are underneath, all the things we've been through, if we are
Yeah.
not first connected to the body. So when you were explaining that part, something came to my mind, and is that, both you and I work with clients that, of course, have gone through trauma. I
Yes.
myself have gone through trauma too. So one of the main aspects of trauma is that disconnection with the body and dissociation
Absolutely.
and numbness from our emotions. Because back then, when the painful experience and the trauma was created, that was the healthiest thing to do for the body.
Yes.
It's a healthy response from the nervous system. The problem is when we stay too long in that disconnection, which is what creates that trauma. So once we start connecting with the body, that's when we start to heal. So for the people who have been, for way too long in that dissociation and that numbness, and don't really understand, okay, like, how do I really understand when I'm hungry, or I cannot even feel any connection with my body.
Sure.
Yeah, where can they start that journey?
Right. So obviously, I'm not going to pretend like I'm a doctor or a therapist. If you have, very severe trauma, you definitely need to, speak to a medical professional. But, I am a movement teacher. So, when women come into my classes and they have any sort of trauma, and, believe me, most people have
Yeah.
some sort of trauma. I want to say like 80%
Mm.
of people that I've ever met in my life have some sort of trauma. And it's just to varying degrees, right? And where it's located in the body. But um, you want to start with, trying to identify your feelings and then trying to feel them. So that's kind of where I start with most people, and trying to move that through the body with breath or movement or sound. And, people who are, very severely disassociated obviously probably need more help than I can give them.
Yeah.
But, that's, case by case basis, obviously. But yeah, it's really up to the individual, how it goes. But most people can, identify big emotions. And
Yeah.
so we start there with the really big ones,
Yes.
tell me about your day. What was the biggest emotion you felt today and how did that happen?
Yes, yes, that's so powerful. I completely agree with that. And I think a powerful way as well is just to start identifying the sensations in the body, even though sometimes the person initially, when they start the journey of coming back to reconnecting to the body, and reestablishing that safety, so then we can feel
Right.
more our emotions, is okay, what are the sensations in the body? Let's not focus on labeling the emotion. Let's focus on, what do I feel? Is that your
Yeah,
chest like
exactly.
tight, or your heart pumping? So yeah, I think all these practices and what you do, like body movement, even though yeah, I will imagine that it will be very beneficial for anyone in any stage of their healing journey, because it's just a very vital part of coming back to ourselves, right? The coming into the body. So now let's
And I
get.
think it's important, like as you pointed out,
Yeah,
not everyone feels safe in their body right off the bat. Like
that's right.
that's not a uh, default for everyone.
Yes,
So I don't take that lightly just to say, oh, come back into your body. Like that is not a safe place for everyone. So I definitely recognize that. And I don't take that lightly when I say, come back into your body like right now.
yes, yes.
So yeah, very much I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. It's allowing the body to go at its own pace, and
Mhm.
just trust the process, because it's very different for all of us. And It might take a little bit of time for some, it might take less. At the end is just knowing that whatever we are doing is yeah, contributing to the reconnection with the body.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So let's get into now like the feminine essence and the sensuality part of it. So how does embodying our sensuality help us reconnect with our authentic feminine energy?
So, when you say, that, I mean, I kind of want to talk about, having like an embodiment practice. So, when you're talking about reconnecting with your feminine energy, the energy flows. So, the feminine flows, right? Feminine energy flows. So the way that you get that feminine energy to flow is you have to practice. So the
Mhm.
way to do that is to have some sort of embodiment practice or movement practice. And that can be a lot of different things. It doesn't have to be dance. The way that I do it is dance, but it doesn't have to be dance. For some people, it can be yoga. For some people, it can be breath work. For some people, it can be, anything. But for me, the fastest way I have found to connect to the feminine essence is this movement practice that I've studied because it's so quick at getting right to the core of, what is feminine.
Yeah.
Um, so, there are other ways though, to become more, in your feminine. And, you've seen all these different, coaches out there that are like, oh, practice this, practice that, change your clothing,
Mhm.
y- change your environment, whatever. But, to get to kind of the core of who you are, how I help women, kind of the first thing we do is to follow your breath.
Mm.
So, that first inhale and exhale, and that's your first movement. Following your breath in movement, that's kind of the first way that we, start to follow our feminine
Mm.
energy in movement.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, it's so simple yet so powerful, isn't it? Just the power of our breath, and it's something that,
Right.
yeah, every time when I started doing breath work, and by the way, I'm just like I've just done it a few times, definitely not a pro, but it's such a powerful tool for healing. Now, you mentioned something important that I would like to also like cover a little bit,
Mhm.
in more depth. So, what are the benefits of coming back into our feminine energy? And is this only for women? What's your view?
Right. No, that's a great point. So, um, I feel like everybody has masculine and feminine energy, and it's really important that you flex both, right? You can't be half a person. We
Yeah.
all have masculine and feminine energy, and it's important to balance both because if I was, just running around all feminine energy all the time, I would never show up anywhere on time. I
Yeah.
would have been late to our meeting, right? I wouldn't have known, oh, it's 5 o'clock. I have no structure. You know, the masculine is linear and time oriented
Yes.
and has, structure to things. So you definitely need masculine energy to, run your small business and, get your taxes done. And, I'm not saying women don't have that skill set because we do. That's just being in our masculine energy.
That's right.
But to be creative and have life force and to flow, that's being in our feminine energy. And we also need that. So
Yeah.
men have that too, right? Men
Yeah.
are also very creative and have great ideas and flow. They, are musicians and write poetry and lyrics and write books. And, so men are also have a lot of feminine energy inside them as well.
Yeah.
So we all both have both. It's
Yes.
just that in our kind of patriarchal society, the
Yeah,
feminine energy is often repressed.
definitely.
And we need to somehow elevate the feminine again as a society to where, they're both equal and seen as, two parts of a whole person,
Yeah.
um, both valued and both very needed, you know, as a society in general.
Oh, love that, love that. So what would you think will be the benefits as a society, as a collective, if every single human, regardless if they are man or woman, will start practicing feminine embodiment tools?
Wow. I think we would be a lot less stressed. I think everybody would have a much better sex life.
Yeah,
That I think um the the feminine really brings a lot of just pure like life force energy
yeah,
to whatever, she is being and doing. So, the way that I've had it explained to me is that, the feminine energy is the river and the masculine is the riverbed.
yeah,
So, it's kind of like you desperately like need both. Like
yeah,
there's no like society without both. Um, but um, just to have like 80% masculine and 20% feminine, it's kind of like a dull gray kind of existence without, like technicolor.
yeah,
Um, so, if we, had more feminine energy in the world, I kind of feel that, things would be a lot more in flow. I feel like people would have, more creative solutions to problems rather than everybody trying to fit in a little box, like instead of like this 8 to 5 work day and everybody has to go to an office. I feel like, people would embrace more of these, like, oh, working from home schedules can work for a lot of people. And, oh, not everybody has to, be in an office, like working from home can work for a lot of people. Oh, maybe traditional, schedules don't need to,
yeah,
work for everyone. Maybe some people just don't even need to report to an office at all,
yeah, yeah,
perhaps, there can be untraditional work roles and work jobs and
yeah.
maybe really flat reporting structures. Maybe we don't even need bosses. Maybe
Mm,
we can just be a community of employees.
yeah.
So it's kind of very like different types of thinking. um yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And what came to my mind when you were like, it's such a beautiful way to explain it, by the way, as well. And what came to my mind was, yeah, the masculine is the provider and the feminine is the expander. So whatever
Yeah.
is given to the feminine,
Yeah.
she expands it and makes it even like more abundant because that's
Right.
the flow, the nurturing, the expansion comes. We have life force within ourselves. And
Right.
yeah, I know a lot of men say, well, that cannot happen without men. Of course, that cannot happen without men.
Mhm.
Women need men, men need women. That's why we were created. We both need the feminine and masculine, not even
Yeah.
in gender, but in energies. We both have like both energies within ourselves. So that's the biggest sign and evidence that we need each other. But what I was going with this point is like, yeah, once both are coming more into a wholeness into their energies, because again, this is a journey. It's not about being fully healed or being fully perfect.
Yeah.
And if you can as well, because in my own journey, I was very, when I started all this journey, at some point I got very stuck into the feminine and masculine. Now, how I see it is our most authentic energies. It's a
Mhm.
byproduct once we start doing the healing journey to come into harmony with our inner energies. And then when both people come into union, into relationship, and both are operating from that wholeness, taking accountability from their own healing and supporting the partner on their healing journey, the woman will expand that man in ways that, it's because this is what the feminine energy does. This is what women like do. As I said, we have that life creation force within ourselves, which is really powerful. And so this
So
next,
the feminine also just attracts. The
yes,
feminine doesn't have to push to get anything done. The feminine just attracts things to her. So
yes,
if you ever feel like yourself pushing and pushing and pushing to like make something happen, you're
yes.
doing it the masculine. So you can just sit back and attract and
Yeah.
everything will happen for you.
Oh, love
So
that, Jennifer. How can women then get into more of that energy of attracting? Let's say that, there's someone in the audience coming, oh, I feel like I'm always controlling and pushing. Can you please guide me on how can I start just allowing things to come to me?
yeah, so I would definitely try to think about how to become more embodied
Yeah.
because that is very feminine way to get back into your body. Um, to start doing any type of feminine movement practice, like I said. And think about, how are you spending your time? And almost maybe categorize it. Am I doing more masculine things or more feminine things? Masculine is very linear, goal oriented. Feminine is more connection, creativity, intuitive. So, just think about like, am I spending all my time in masculine energy or feminine energy, and try to switch, like think about, how are you spending your time, and try to spend more time in more feminine flow activities. Um,
Yeah.
it's difficult, because our society rewards masculine energy and masculine,
Yes.
to get ahead at work in your corporate job, you have to act like a man. you know,
Yes.
it's very much like, I don't know if you've heard that Taylor Swift song, The Man. Like that's how it is. It's like that.
Oh, wow. No,
So
I haven't heard.
have you heard that song?
No, no, not really.
Oh,
No. What are the
yeah.
lyrics?
What are the lyrics? She basically says like, if I was a man, then I'd be the man. Like, it's just basically the lyrics are all about, the things that she does. If she was a man, she would be rewarded for doing the same exact things. But because she's a woman, people look down on her for achieving.
Okay, yes.
So it's kind of like it's a double-edged sword for her. She can't achieve, and just because she's a woman, people are like, oh, you're a B word, you're this, you're that, um she can't win, either
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, and I feel like it's so ingrained, isn't it? Like in how we were raised and in our society, and things
Sure.
are definitely changing now with more
Yeah,
awareness
it's
and
different. I'm glad I wasn't born 50 years ago,
yeah,
but it's still difficult, right? And then, for your listeners that are, like, well, I'm not a man hater. Believe me, I love my man.
yeah,
He's the best. I respect him a great deal.
yeah,
He's a wonderful man. I love men.
yeah,
There are definitely good men out there. I'm not bashing men. I'm not a man hater. That's not what I'm here to talk about. But if your listeners are wanting to attract, and obviously you want to attract a good man, you
yeah.
have to behave like a feminine woman,
Mm,
right? And that means not acting like a man.
yeah. Yeah. And so how can
So,
women get into that? Like, do you think where those because this is kind of like the chicken and egg, right? Where does it
yes,
start? Because a woman cannot be feminine if there's no safety in the dynamic, right? So where does it
right.
start? So how can we put that line between what's mine and what's also the responsibility of the other counterpart that is coming into union with me?
Yeah, I mean, that really gets into a lot of like the probably more your territory than mine.
Yeah.
I, practiced a lot of those things, dating and like relating. And
Yeah,
when I was, out there dating in that arena,
yeah,
be open to receiving and, allowing men to do things for me and that
yes,
kind of thing. Um, you know, um, being in my feminine when I was on a date and that kind of thing. But yeah, I think, the most important thing that I can offer is, the way that I, really became, you know, cultivating my feminine energy was this feminine movement practice that I keep
yeah,
talking about. It was so, so powerful. I just can't even like explain enough like what I'm talking about.
yeah,
It's so life altering. Um, I encourage anybody who's listening to watch a documentary on Netflix that's called Strip Down, Rise Up. It it goes into part of the S Factor movement, which is what I teach.
yeah,
It's really interesting documentary. It goes into the movement and the journey that we teach. But yeah, and it'll give you a little bit of a visual
mm,
of like what we do and what I teach, so that you can somewhat understand like what I'm talking about.
yeah,
Um, but it's, there's not a lot of like video and pictures because it's very private and
mm,
it's behind, closed doors because we want to protect the intimacy of, what happens
yeah,
in the dance studio. And, now I teach online. So, but, we don't like record classes and stuff to like show people like, oh, look, what do I do? What do I do? So it's very hard to like show people the movement and stuff because we don't record people because it's very intimate.
yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what you were sharing before your own story, that I got very curious about that. So
Oh yeah.
did you then, would you say that you manifest, like, did you manifest your partner when you were in
Yes.
your healing journey, in the journey of embodying more like your feminine essence? And how was that for you? How, like, what, if someone is in that position that will also want to attract a healthy masculine man, how can
Mhm.
they start that journey to embodying that feminine energy?
Well, my personal healing journey took a very long time. I
Yeah.
hope nobody listening takes 10 years to go down a painful road.
I might be on that road.
It took me a long time to, I don't want to say heal myself because no one is ever, like perfectly healed or anything like that. No one is, perfectly healed ever. But yeah, I went through a divorce. I lost 130 pounds. I went through like a very like huge physical transformation.
Mm,
And then, at that time I thought, okay, well, I'm thin now. Why don't I love myself?
mm,
And so that was a very huge like awakening moment for me. And I started dating and I was trying to get all this like external um appreciation from men to
yeah,
kind of fill this like space within me that I didn't love myself. So I was trying to get like this external love from
yeah,
other people to kind of fill this hole that was inside of myself. And that didn't work, obviously.
yeah, yeah,
So then I was going on this like, spiritual journey to kind of figure out, well, why isn't this working? Why
mm,
am I not manifesting a partner? Why are all my relationships terrible?
mm,
Because the real reason was I didn't love myself. So
mm,
how could anybody love me when I didn't really love myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it took me so, so long to like figure that out.
Yeah.
And, it's sad, when I look back and look at it,
Yeah.
obviously. But yeah, it took a lot of figuring out and like moving through all these emotions in my body with the dancing to kind of get to this point where I figured out, okay, um now that I have like moved through all these different archetypes, we have like 10 different archetypes in our, um movement kind of um I want to say in our movement practice, there's a whole lot of background and story that goes along with it. But yeah, it was definitely a long journey for me to get to the point. And and I went to therapy, and I had definitely a therapist working with me through this whole process, so it wasn't just me like bumbling around
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
own.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I mean, definitely I had assistance, but it was a lot of trial and error, like why do I keep dating the same man over and over? Like, same same man, different face.
Patterns. Yeah,
Yeah.
the
You
same
know,
patterns. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I can
same
resonate.
patterns. Exactly. Same patterns.
Yes.
Um, but it really took me up until like the very last bad relationship to decide, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, this is not good enough for me anymore.
Yeah.
And finally, like the last bad relationship, I finally like said, no, I'm worth so much more than this.
Yeah.
And I finally like closed the door on it. And I was like, you know what? I am a queen.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, no, absolutely not. Like, I'm worth so much more than this. And a
Yeah.
month later, I met my boyfriend who I live with now. And it just took that
Wow.
much to just be like, I absolutely
Wow.
so much more than this.
Wow.
And just to like rise to that level of like,
So you basically also like have been healing and getting more into the embodiment while in the relationship with him. It's not that you first kind of like went into the healing journey and embodiment practice and then manifested him. You manifested him before you started the journey?
no, I've been doing this embodiment practice. This is my 10th year.
Yeah. Okay.
So I started teaching it 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, and I met him 3 years ago.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, it started.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely been a journey for me.
Yeah.
So I definitely, I tell people, I practice what I preach. This is not a game.
Yeah.
This is not, amateur hour either.
Yeah.
Um, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Um, and I can show you how to do it too.
Yeah, it's the embodiment work, like as you said, like practicing our own work is the most powerful way to empower and inspire others. Because
Mhm.
without being an embodiment of the work that we teach, without walking the
Right.
talk, it's not gonna
Yeah.
integrity. It's gonna be, and not only not gonna be in integrity, it's like we will never be able to truly understand what the other person is going through unless we've been through what they went through.
Yes. Yes. And I
It's through
feel
that
like
experience,
really
right?
strongly. I'm sorry?
It's through that experience that we gain that wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't like advise. I feel like I can't advise people if I haven't been through those, dating trenches. I really have. Like, I've been through all that, the apps, the bad dates, like the horrible men, the, just all of it,
Yeah.
I do a lot of love readings. I told you that, when we
Ah, yeah.
talked before, I built my whole, kind of intuitive business on doing love readings, love
Yeah.
and relationship readings. And the reason I connect so well with all of my clients is because I have been there.
Yeah.
I've been there, done it, and bought the t-shirt, because I've had all of these bad relationships with all these emotionally unavailable men.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I know how to recognize it and
Yeah.
how to get out of it.
Yeah.
Um, and that's how I, advise my clients. So yeah, it's so easy to see it once you've like been on the other side though, but when you're in it, it's
Yeah.
very hard to see.
Yeah.
And so I'm not trying to sound superior or anything because believe me, I was just stuck in it for the longest time. So I'm definitely not trying to sound like a know-it-all or anything because it's
Oh,
so
yeah.
hard when
You're
you're
just
like,
sharing your experience, right? Like you're just sharing
yeah,
what you went through, and something really powerful that I learned through my journey, of very similar, emotionally unavailable relationships, one after the other
yeah,
one, is we learn the most through contrast, and life is all about contrast, which is the duality. Like how can we really know that we are in a beautiful, healthy, conscious, loving relationship if we haven't first been through what is not a conscious,
yes,
loving relationship?
yes,
So I think for me, like, that's something that gave me a little bit of, um, I will say, trust in the journey, that I was in those moments and in those relationships that they didn't end as I thought. I knew that they ended in the right moment because what I needed to learn and the wisdom I needed to obtain through those experiences was already completed. and and through that experience is that i I understood that is giving me the clarity and aligning myself even more with what is it that I want, with because without
yes,
clarity, without knowing that, we are gonna keep attracting the same, right? But once
right.
we gain clarity of okay, this is not what I want, this is what I want, then that's already in our conscious space, in our mind, and with that intention that, okay, this is what I desire. So it's moving us closer and closer and closer to that desired relationship. And the last thing I will add is that if you are listening to this part and you are a woman who is going through the contrast, same as me, I'm still in the contrast, you know we are learning and embodying so many things through the process that sometimes we are not able to see it once the integration of the learning of the pain and the experience has brought to us. So hold yourself through it all, like surrender, but most importantly, as we've been mentioning with Jennifer, like trust that the feminine energy, it takes a step back, surrenders, and allow things to come to her. So if things are coming to you that are not in alignment with what you want, trust that that's taking you to alignment with what you want.
Yeah, I think the worst thing that you can do is to stay out of the dating game. The
Mm,
worst thing you can do is to not date anybody
yeah,
because the person that's going to come to you and is attracted to you is some part of yourself that you need to heal.
yeah,
So
yeah,
who is attracted to you right now and who you're in a relationship right now, there's some part of yourself that you need to heal and you need to be in a relationship with that person right now. So even if you've broken up and you're like, why did I have to experience that? Why did I have to be with that person? Well, you learned something, didn't you? So that was not a wasted time. There's no
yeah.
such thing as wasted love. You learned something, and that was exactly what you're meant to do. And so now you learned something, and you can move on.
Yes, yes.
And that was what it's meant to be.
Yeah, love that part. And before I go to the next part of my question, because we are getting more into the sexuality part and how can, we come back to that sexual and sensuality energy that I love. I love speaking more about because it's something I'm getting more into. As I mentioned to you, I'm going to a Tantra retreat in Byron Bay in November, and I'm so, so excited. This is the first time I'm doing Tantra work, which I think is, yeah, my journey has naturally led me there. But what I was going to say is like a little reflection I had recently. When I was like reflecting about my previous breakup, and I was just like, trying to understand the lesson, and after the work that I've done, I've done so much healing, so much inner work, but again, it's relative. We cannot compare. We cannot say, oh, I've done so much. At the end, what is that so much? So what came to me was, we have these two parts, right? We have the physical body and we have the spiritual soul, like our soul. And we came here to our soul chose experiences that we were meant to experience on earth in our physical body in order for our soul to evolve and then manifest those deepest desires. So one, there's a reason why your desires, you have those specific desires. They are already part of your timeline, part of your life. Now, know that every single challenge you go through is something that your soul has already chosen. So you can grow and evolve through that experience and come closer to that person who is already living in that desire. So it's challenging because we cannot go through the spiritual, the soul evolution without the physical part of it, which is the pain, the challenges, the contrast, the duality. That it's impossible. We cannot bypass it. That's why we are here. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here, which is we gotta be careful, right? It's just okay, I'm leaving this contract, thank God, because this is part of the human experience. But know that the more you surrender, the more you accept, the more you release control, the easier your soul will get to that place where you are finally embodied what you needed to embody to then get you closer to that desire, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was the last part I wanted to mention on that. Okay, so now let's go a little bit more into the sexuality part, which as I said, I'm excited. So Jennifer, how do you think like when we women are not really connected and embodied with our feminine energy, how does this impact our relationships with the relationship with our sexuality and our emotional expression?
So what I find is a lot of women that come to me and come to my classes, they really hate their body. And the the way that to achieve kind of that freeness in your sexuality, you have to be pretty comfortable with your own body and appreciate your body in order to achieve that kind of comfortableness with yourself and your sexuality in the bedroom or
Yeah.
even by yourself.
Yeah.
So it's a whole, exercise in itself to be, body positive and love yourself and your body and your shape.
Yeah.
So it's, a separate journey to get to this place of body love before you can, get to the place where you can um kind of experiment and move further, you know, sexually or with tantra or, anything else. And people want to like skip over it
Mm.
and, oh, I want to do, tantra. I want to have these experiences with my partner, but they feel kind of like um uncomfortable or not, you know, happy with their size or their shape or something about their own body.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of like a separate thing or issue that needs to be handled first.
Yeah.
Um, and unfortunately, it's just a lot of women feel that way.
Mm.
And I don't really think it matters what your size or shape is. A lot of women just have these weird hangups about their body, no matter what size it could be size 2, size 0. My thighs are too big, my arms are too long, my feet are weird. Like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Like, yeah, so it's not just like plus size women or something like that. It's all women.
Mm.
It's very sad.
And where do you think that's coming from?
It starts very young, unfortunately. I hear little girls talking about, you
Mm.
know, weird things, unfortunately, because they not only, even if, my own daughter
Yeah.
was raised in a very, I feel, a very body positive environment in my home. I have one daughter, one child. She was raised by me, a single mother. So it's just me and her in the
Yeah.
home, right? So you
Yeah.
think, okay, there wasn't any other negative messages coming, right? But she gets it at school, she
Yeah.
gets it from society.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't win.
Yeah.
you know, your girls, our daughters, our women are going to get it no matter what. They
Mm.
get it from magazines, they get it from the internet, they get it from men, they get it from just society in general.
Yeah.
So, no matter how you raise your daughter, she's going to get these negative messages about her body from teachers at school,
Yeah.
from my daughter got it from teachers at school. The
Wow.
principal at her school was
Yeah.
giving her negative messages about her body. It infuriated me.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story. But yeah, it's and then we have to spend the rest of our lives, you know, trying to undo all that damage
Yeah.
in
It's
order
coming
to
from like,
like have a positive sexual experience with our partner.
yeah, like so much out there. Like if we, do see the TV commercials, it's all about like women's makeup and creams. It's all about
Yeah.
how to, as if our body's not
I
perfect, but
don't
it
need more
is.
wrinkle cream. I really
Yeah,
don't. I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
care.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so, yeah. So yeah, I think it's important to talk about it and to bring that awareness into it, so we all can contribute into healing that body
Yeah.
shape that women carry for generations. So, and then the last part is like, in your experience guiding a woman through this journey, how does the energy of sexual embodiment influence other aspects of life?
Um, it is a part of your whole entire life.
Yeah,
So as you go on this journey and become more embodied, you find that it's easier to attract things in the other aspects of your life. Like I said, attracting a partner, attracting your dream job, attracting clients,
yeah,
attracting anything that you want. The more that you're turned on in your feminine, the more that people notice you. I find that, I used to go grocery shopping after my dance class on Sundays just because it was a convenient time for me.
yeah,
And I would get hit on so much in the grocery store, just because I was lit up and turned on after my dance. I stopped doing it because it was so like just annoying to be
yeah.
like constantly hit on in the grocery store. And
Wow.
I was like sweaty, grubby in my hoodie and sweatpants, and like I did not look like made up or anything. Like I looked like junk, like crap, like I don't know. It was just this glow,
I'm sure you
from,
didn't look like crap though.
well, but like I wasn't made up or anything. So it was just like when you're turned on in your feminine, you like set out like this like radar or like um it's just this emanating energy of attraction, and people can feel it.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, it affects every other area of your life, whether you want it to or not.
yeah.
So yeah, it very much affects every other area of your life in a very positive way.
Wow. And it's all about like, like coming into the body, like being so grounded and into who we are, into our feminine energy and our feminine
Mhm.
flow. Wow, that's really powerful, because I've heard a lot of other women sharing similar things, that once they started doing more of this, they started being nonstop. So yeah, it's always like very interesting. I guess like for me, it's a journey that is been, yeah, it's been kind of like just a gradual, and now it's taking me deeper into more like tantra and my sensuality and my sexuality that I was not really felt I didn't really feel called before to dive deeper into that. Maybe it's just, it was just a matter of me coming more into myself and healing other aspects of my journey more as a priority before. So yeah, if that happens at some point, that will be interesting to experience. But
Yeah.
yeah, amazing. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for everything you've shared with us. If people would like to contact you and ask about your services, how can they contact you?
I'm at thejenniferlove.com. That's THE jenniferlove.com. I have a weekly online feminine movement class. I would love to have anybody join. It's may or may not be at a great time for you, but check it out.
Is it
Um,
online, that one, or in person?
online.
Oh, perfect. Online. Yeah.
Yeah. And if the demand is there, we could talk about different times of day. If other people want to like suggest other times of day, I'm open to that. I have a signature mastermind program that's also online. It's my Body Love Goddess program. That's an 8-week program. That's kind of my signature mastermind program. And I'm
Wow.
also planning a weekend retreat that's going to be
Oh,
here. It's here in Southern California where I live. But that's going to be like a fully immersive experience. I'm going to bring the movement, the meditation, the breath work, the tantra, and we're just going to like totally, explore how to bring more pleasure into your body and just total journey to body love. So I'm really excited about that.
oh, amazing. Well, thank you so much. If anyone is listening to this, please go and check Jennifer out. Her work is, yeah, really, really powerful. So needed. And the last thing is, what are your 3 key takeaways from this episode, Jennifer, that people can go with?
Yeah, I want people to definitely um not ignore your body cues,
Yeah.
feel your feelings,
Yeah.
and try to be more body positive. You know,
Yes.
just silence your critical mind a little bit and appreciate your body and everything it does for you.
Oh, I love that. Beautiful. And I will add, the only thing I will add there is the importance of starting to practice feminine embodiment practices daily. So it's something that is, if you can do daily, just even if you do
Yeah.
5 minutes, is better than not doing it at all. And why daily? Because it will become a automatic practice once you start doing it daily. Like it will be integrated into who you are, the more you do it, and it will then become easier for you to extend that duration. But yeah, initially that's what I've transformed also. Most of my life is just my daily practices connecting with myself and with my body, which I call them somatic practices, but it's the same.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. All right, beautiful, Jennifer. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we close?
No, that's great. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for having you here. It's been a pleasure, and I will see you all soon in another episode of the Awakened Woman podcast.